Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC, where we go into the trenches of the trading world. DD from the source. We have a special guest today, multiple stock updates, and we also have a special cheers of the week. Listen, if you're joining me on these live shows, smash the like button and share the due diligence. I keep bringing it to you guys week after week, and the BFC train is not going to stop. So, all right, let's get into it. Today's guest is the CEO of MedCana, a holding company working in the cannabis industry, ticker SFWJ. Please welcome Mr. Gabriel Diaz. Let's bring him in. Mr. Gabriel Diaz, welcome to the BFC.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot for having me, Eric.
Absolutely. Now, you had a chance to present to our Discord members the other day. It was a great presentation. It was good to talk with you and learn about your company. But now, we're going to get you out to the BFC masses here. So, welcome for your maiden voyage. So tell us a little bit about yourself and who is MedCana? What is MedCana? What is going on here?
Well, absolutely. All right. Well, to start, tell you a little bit about myself. I am a serial entrepreneur. Came from a little bit of a different industry. I came from telecom. And I'll talk about that. Well, it incorporates pretty well into some of the answers and some of the reasons why I'm in this industry. But what is MedCana? MedCana is a holding company. We are, our company is focused on developing an ecosystem in the cannabis industry and beyond. We're very lucky. Our mission is basically to leverage our technology and expertise, strategic partnerships to cultivate, produce, and export pharmaceutical-grade cannabis, both with and without THC. And that's with our 7 companies that I'll talk about in a little bit. But also, we're committed to fostering sustainable and ecological practices, enhancing the lives of our employees, which is really important, and utilizing advanced agricultural technology through Eco2O, one of our companies. Our integrated ERP software ensures complete farm-to-pharmacy traceability as well, and I'll talk about that. So our vision is to become a global leader in the pharmaceutical cannabis industry and beyond.
No, right on. And technically you're a holdings company. So talk to us a little bit more about your holdings. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, put them in the chat. That's why we're here, to do due diligence. So please put your questions in the chat. So what are your current holdings? Explain that. If you could explain it as thoroughly as possible. I know I had a couple follow-ups last time we talked, so there's a lot there. So go for it.
Yep. So it's aggressive and it's big. It's a total of 9 companies. Why 9 companies? I'll get into it. But basically, the licenses are the first part. Okay. So we've got 7 companies that currently hold licenses in Colombia to produce, process, and export cannabis. And one of those 7 companies also has the genetic licenses, which allows us to register, develop and register our own genetic strains. So those are the first 7 companies. And this is the core of MedCana, the holding companies, which is going to be the production side. The 8th company is Eco2O, which is an acquisition that we made last year in order to, well, we got very lucky and were able to acquire a majority stake in this company. And that is an agricultural technology company focused on infrastructure, irrigation systems, and technology. By infrastructure, I mean greenhouses, in greenhouse construction. Irrigation systems are the systems, obviously, to irrigate. And the systems control side is all of the sensors and all of the controls that go with what's the next generation of agriculture, the technology in agriculture. And the last company kind of brings it all together. It's an ERP platform that is made. We acquired the framework for this platform, which we're going to adapt into managing our ERP platform that's going to be able to manage production from seed to pharma, and be able to have full traceability of everything that we produce. But we also plan to commercialize this software as well. So it's not only for our internal use, but again, it's part of the ecosystem we're developing. So those are the current holdings. You're probably asking why so many companies. I'm sure that's a question that I get a lot. Well, one of the things that I saw early on when I started looking into this industry is in the pharmaceutical space. When you get a client, they request a certain strain, a certain variety. And once you have that variety and you've got the pharma certifications, I saw two instances where pharmaceutical companies came in and bought those companies in Colombia. So we prepared for that. And that's why we had the chance to acquire multiple licenses, and the expectation and the option is that we may be able to sell these off one by one. Now, the win here for us is not only that we get to sell these companies once they're developed, but we also keep the genetic strains because we own the genetic strains, and we will continue to generate revenue off of those sales of those companies. So that's a little bit of why so many companies. And obviously the home run was the last acquisition of the genetic license.
So it sounds to me like you're planning for full verticalization of your
Yep.
process, your what you're doing here. So
Yeah,
okay,
that's the plan.
okay. So and just talk a little bit more about the sale of the companies. Just explain what you mean when you say sale of the companies and those subsidiaries that you own.
Yeah, the idea would be, again, what's amazing about pharmaceutical grade, well, this industry in the pharma, is everything is governed by the certifications. Once you're certified, the certifications are so stringent that there is confidence on the side of the pharmaceutical company that they're going to be buying exactly what they're contracted for. And that gives them confidence in the ability that the production can be maintained and the quality can be maintained. So that makes it very, and my light just went out. That makes it very,
that's all right.
Yeah, sorry about that. But that makes it very easy for those pharmaceutical companies to say, all right, we know you're producing, we know you've got the right process, because you're certified, we know everything's running well. So you know what? We want to take it off your hands, and how much is it going to cost to give it to us? And that's what we saw happen in Colombia multiple times, and we've seen it around the world. So it's not necessarily the plan, because again, we'll be producing individually, and we'll be, but it is something that we want to keep as an option that's going to allow us to possibly generate more growth for the company.
Right on. Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, let's get some questions in here for Mr. Gabriel Diaz. And I want to give a shout out to everybody. John Don, Stephanie, Michael Singleton, Bella, good to see you. Some of these guys you've already talked to. Lisa Matthews, that's why I couldn't pick up the phone. Here I am, and now here you are. Jord Hugga. Hola, flight delayed. Now you are here, my friend, being able to watch. T7, Paul McKinney. Guys, let's get some questions in the chat and do some due diligence. Now, we could talk a lot about, the cannabis industry is a growing industry. If you look at where we're going, and the 34.03% CAGR projected is huge. Now, right now, it's only 10% growth in the United States, but globally, this industry is booming and expanding. So I have to ask, why Colombia?
All right, so there's a few reasons. Let's start with the political climate. The political climate is very friendly to cannabis. The current president, one of his main goals was to legalize recreational side of cannabis. And there's also a huge push for agriculture and driving increased agricultural production in Colombia. So that's the first thing. Even though this president is a little bit on the left, his main agenda is still agriculture and cannabis. Mm-hmm. I'll talk a little bit about the recreational in a little bit, but that did not go through, which is not a bad thing for us, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But the second thing is the maturity of the industry. The industry is relatively mature. Legalization happened 6 years ago. All of the regulatory framework is working well. It's established. There's no gray areas. Everything's is being done already. So, however, it's not an industry developed enough to fulfill the global demand. Okay, so that's definitely something that we liked about this industry. It's also not mature enough to fulfill compliance requirements. especially for the pharma export. So we like that as well. So it's an industry that's there, that's growing, but it's not quite there yet. Again, the regulatory climate, it's been implemented. Regulations have been there, tested, revised. Exports are happening, so it's something that's moving. The other thing about it, where it gets really interesting, are the last 3 points. That is weather. Weather is amazing. There's sun 12 hours a day. There's an average rainfall of 104 inches a year, which is astronomical. In fact, we'll be doing all the irrigation for all 20 acres just with rainwater, which is phenomenal. It's ecological, but it's also very easy because you don't have to worry about anything in the water. Temperature, the temperature average high is 71 and average low is 51 degrees year round. All these factors of weather allow us to run. Initially, we were planning on doing 3 to 4 growth cycles, and we will be able to do four growth cycles during the year. So this quadruples production as compared to northern or southern hemisphere. So this is phenomenal. The other thing are obviously labor costs. Labor costs are considerably lower. Average salary in the area where we work are $3.30 an hour. We will not be paying that. We'll be paying premium labor rates. We're planning on paying 20 to 30% more, but that's very important. I'll give you something can happen.
You want people banging down the door to work for you.
We want
you want the best of the best.
Not only that, I mean, we're going to be the largest employer in the community. We've already met. We had a town hall meeting, which is beautiful, phenomenal at the local school. We've got a list of the people that are going to be working for us, a list of their education levels, and that's the other thing. I mean, it's the people. They're highly educated. Something about Colombia, their largest crop is flowers. That's their largest export, is flowers. And the training that people have in order to grow flowers is exactly the same as what we need for cultivating cannabis, because it's buds that we're trimming, it's plants that we're trimming on a daily basis. And so we've got trained, highly educated people with a low labor cost. Let me tell you a little bit, something else about labor costs. So I end up hiring a bulldozer to clean up an acre that I have here in Austin, and it cost me $4,000 for 2 days. Well, we had a bulldozer. We've had bulldozers continuously, but I get an invoice and I look at it, and we had a bulldozer for 10 days working for the same amount of money. So again, infrastructure, the cost of labor is so low. But again, and getting back, the people are phenomenal, highly trained, willing to study, willing to grow. The level of engineers and chemists that we have working for us is unbelievable. Our chemists have PhDs, published authors, professors at universities, and phenomenal people. So those are the reasons why we're in Colombia. We see an ability to scale there quickly and be able to, this talent that we're acquiring, also be able to use it in other geographic areas where we might expand in the future, which we're planning on.
Right on. And then while we're on the topic, and I'm going to try and do this by topic to do these follow-ups, but Bella had a couple questions, and the question is, what are the certifications and how hard are they to get? And real quick, Bella, who dis? All right, that's it. She gets it. Gabe, you don't get it. Inside joke. But who dis? So how hard are these certifications to get? What are the certifications?
Yep. So these are, in order to be pharmaceutical grade, you have to have documented process from beginning to end. Your facilities have to be compliant to whatever that country's standards are. And it's standard growing practices that are outlined, but also standard documentation. The facilities have to be certified to a certain level. Things as detailed as where bathrooms are, where break rooms are, where the water runoff is, all these things, the materials that are being used for the greenhouses, all of these things have to be certified. And the list is literally this thick. So I think it's a 5,000 questionnaire, 5,000 questions that have to be, and it's all to make sure that the production practices are not just being met, but also being documented. And that's And that's a really, really good question, because the reason I decided to jump into this project is we saw the first wave of investment go into Colombia 2017, 2018. There's a tremendous amount of capital that went into an industry that was being born. And I saw that happen in telecom in the late 90s when I started my own telecom company. I told you guys I came from telecom. And what I saw was an industry that had a bunch of speculative cash, but no regulations, no framework, no nothing. And hundreds of these companies that were heavily funded went bankrupt. They didn't know what the regulations were. They didn't know how to operate. They didn't know what to do. And this is exactly what happened in Colombia. So we've seen some of our competitors. We know that some of our competitors can't get certified for farmer grade because they built their greenhouses to the wrong specs, because they built their infrastructure the wrong way. So one of the things that I'm very happy about is we're building everything in tandem with the certification agency to make sure that everything is done to spec, to make sure that everything is where it needs to be, to make sure everything is going to be documented, to make sure the systems are documented. So from the ground up, it's very easy to do that. Once you've got once you've got 10 acres of greenhouses built and you realize you have to knock them down because you use the wrong material, that's not good.
That's like somebody's not going to stay in the industry after that. They're going to be like, screw this, I'm out.
Exactly. So this talks a little bit as well about the maturity of the industry. That's kind of there. A lot of the early, the early investors and the companies that went in early have failed and made these mistakes, and we're capitalizing from those mistakes, and we learn from that.
And you could call it the 7-year mistake, I guess you could say, because, well, that was 2016 when these things were passed, correct? So that's when, okay, so you've had 7 years to sort of get ahead of the curve and learn from other people's mistakes.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned 20 acres. Okay. How much cultivation, how much revenue, and this is, I know, no forward-looking statements, none of this is financial advice, but what is the maximum potential for something at 20 acres?
No forward-looking statements, but I'll tell you, our models indicated that it would be between 85 and $95 million in revenue once we're up to full production. This is with THC. Our models are based on a price that has since doubled and almost tripled because of global demand. So we're super happy about that. It's quite a bit of revenue, and it's not easy because it's a humongous undertaking. If you see an acre of greenhouses, you fall off your chair. Now imagine 21 acres, but we're very, very excited about that potential. Now, this is not processing. This is not utilizing an extraction facility. This is simply with buds. So we're very excited about the capabilities that we have.
Right on. Excellent. All right, guys, I'm going to get to all your questions. Keep loading them in there because we're going to get to those. And yes, they have a ton of questions for you. But MedCana, why now? Why now? I mean, like, we've been dealing with cannabis companies coming up for a long time. What advantage do you have? Why is now the time for you guys?
Yeah, again, our strategic location. We're super happy. You guys heard about the weather. You guys heard about the people. All of that gives us a huge advantage. The strong local partnerships that we've established. I'll tell you, for example, the genetics development and the licenses takes quite a while. It's going to take us about a year to a year and a half to get our own genetics in the pipeline. But right now, our suppliers for genetics are the ones begging us to start planting and start growing because they have orders they need to fulfill, and because the demand is so great. And that goes into the next thing. The global market right now, our focus is European markets and Australian markets. Okay, those are already open. There's already it's not easy to import the pharmaceutical, but we know we'll get there. We have the certifications ready to export to Switzerland right now and to Australia. Okay, even though we've got a very small production, we know we can do that already. But we know that global market's going to continue to grow. But the other why now is we want to prepare for what the inevitable, which will be the U.S. opening up. cannabis being descheduled. And we're moving in the right direction slowly but surely. And when that happens, our production costs are approximately 10 to 12 times less than the US. I was lucky enough to tour facilities through Arizona and California to understand what the market was like in the US. And when you have to build a warehouse, heat the warehouse in the winter, cool the warehouse in the summer, light it, turn the lights off, take out the water from the air to make sure humidity is low, raise the humidity when you need to, all these things, and labor costs, you're talking about exorbitant production costs. We're planning on coming in to the US and will be a major supplier to the US pharmaceutical industry.
Well, okay, so I mean, you could ask yourself, after descheduling and all that stuff, do we see America as an exporter or importer of it? And I think that we're going to end up being an exporter of cannabis because a lot of people are aligning themselves. So for you guys, do you see the U.S. having a need to import your products? And you think and we're still looking at a 10% CARG. I always want to say CGR. That's a different ticker. CAGR. So, I mean, that's significant. It's not 30%, but it's not 2%, So where do you see your place like with the United States and North America, perhaps Canada?
Again, I see us as an exporter to the U.S. There's something else that's happened that I'll tell you. We've been testing. So the licenses are all contiguous, right? So we have 100 acres with these 7 companies all close together. Okay. And we've done, and I'll tell you in a little bit, we've done a bunch of testing, but what we've done is we discovered early on that we had 5 microclimates. And so we've been testing crops in those 5 microclimates for 3 cycles now. And what we've seen is the quality of product that we're getting, and I'm getting deep into cannabis right now, but the quality of product that we're getting with that weather is phenomenal. Phenomenal. We are letting, as opposed to a very closed environment. Initially, we started with greenhouses where we would control as much of the environment as we could. We open the sides of the greenhouses. We got the mesh, and we let the wind go through, and that shakes the plants, and that creates. Again, I'm getting deep into this, but it creates a reaction in the plants that is a defensive reaction that makes them make the terpenes that makes the buds green and beautiful and perfect. And so what we've seen is, even though it's pharma, because these terpenes are what contain the CBD, the content of the CBD and the THC and all of these things that matter, we have great production, and the quantities that we're getting off of these plants are phenomenal. And so what happens is we have a product that nobody has right now. Well, very few people have, because what you get in the Northern Hemisphere, again, is going to be grown in a controlled environment. You're growing in a warehouse, you're growing in a lead close. You don't have those terpenes, you don't have that production. So you don't have the same yield in CBD and THCs and terpenes and cannabinoids that you do in the open air. Sorry for my rant, but I'm super excited about this because we've seen this happen, right? And we are getting that demand from Switzerland right now. And we're getting that demand. Our competitor is we compete against other countries in the same latitudes. That's Africa. They've had a lot of problems with quality. They've had a lot of problems with sanitation. They've had a lot of problems with fulfilling the certifications. And so we're super happy that the demand is there already for Europe, but we know it's going to be there for the US as well. And when we're coming in at a cost that's 10 times less, I think we're going to have a humongous market in the US.
Yeah, and like you touched on growing stability, and that's important. And I'm glad you understood my question in regards to imports and exports and how you could see yourself being utilized by the U.S. as them importing your product. And like you probably already got orders, I'm thinking. I mean, like we'll talk about that in a second, but it is a lot of companies. After you guys get stabilized and the share price is moving, volume's increasing, awareness is being brought to your stock, your company's growing, you're putting up good revenues. Could you see like spinning out maybe one of those subsidiaries, one of those companies to another ticker, and perhaps then building this like little cannabis conglomerate?
Possibly, but okay.
I had to ask.
That's a good question. I'll tell you, I'm an operator. Okay. I am the one that executes. I'm new to the capital markets, but my first thought, and I don't know if I'm right on this, and you guys can hold me accountable, but my first thought is I want to give our MedCana shareholders the maximum amount of value for their stock. So possibly if it made sense. But right now our goal is to get this thing off the ground for the next year to year and a half. But you can never say no if the money's there, if the opportunity's there, and the shareholder is going to benefit from it. It's definitely something we'd look at it.
Right on. That's good. I'm glad you answered that question. I just, like I said, I had to ask. So what about? Could you talk a little bit more about Eco too, and explain like how that's significant to the process? I know like everything matters, but why is this so significant?
Eco 2.0 was an absolute home run. So the cost to build these facilities, even though it's compared to the U.S., it's dramatically less. We still had a budget of about $4 million in greenhouses. And again, this is considerably less than the U.S. It was $4 to $5 million. By doing this acquisition, we brought on the engineering group that is incredible. We brought on the suppliers, and we were able to shave off about $1.5 to $1.8 million in cost for the startup. And again, our startup is everything right now. It's getting production going. And just that in itself, those savings and acquiring this engineering team and this group with so much experience. The CEO of Eco 2.0 is a civil engineer that studied in Israel. Israel is the most advanced producer of in greenhouses and food production in the desert. They have more crops in the desert than most countries do on perfect land. So they're amazing. So that experience, also his relationships to the to government entities, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but relationships to ex-president made a lot to Carlos Uribe, who is one of the strongest ex-presidents of Colombia. A lot of these relationships that came on board and experience, it was a home run. And not right now, what we're doing is we're focusing obviously on the cannabis industry that's growing, but the flower industry is going into, there's a huge migration happening in the country. There's no labor in the country anymore, and people are realizing they have to implement technology. And Eco 2.0 is the company to implement that technology. Irrigation systems that once you put them in, you don't have to have 2 or 3 workers walking around watering plants. You're controlling the nutrition of the plants now, so you don't have to have somebody spraying or dropping pellets or doing whatever they need to do. So all of these things allow us to maximize value to make sure that costs are lower in the field. And we see that as a tremendous growth opportunity. We've already seen we put out a press release. We built out, I believe, 3 acres for Dazinger, which is the largest supplier of flower seedlings in the world. And they're going to be building out, I believe, an additional 30 hectares of greenhouses, and we are their prime supplier at this point. And so we've also seen, and again, I'm sorry that I'm ranting, but it is a very important portion of the company. And I think if you said spinoff, if there ever was a spinoff, this could be the one. Because we've seen, for example, sensors that are sensing humidity, temperature, and sunlight. And these are important sensors because if you put these in your greenhouses, then they can automatically close and open and turn fans on and turn fans off. These devices will cost, we were seeing on the market for an average price of $500-600. We have the engineering group that can produce them. We costed them out. They're going to go to they're going to go to market for about $250, $300 with a 3-year warranty versus a 1-year warranty. And these are little things that we've tested them in our greenhouses. We know they work. We already have a couple in production, and that's only the beginning. So I see a ton of opportunity with Eco 2.0, not just in the cannabis, and this is what gets us over into flowers, plantations, pineapple, bananas, all of these humongous plantations. So yes.
Right on. And you know what? Hey, You're new to the public markets, man, and this is your maiden voyage, and you're doing a great job. We're throwing a lot of questions at you, but I like that. You know, you're maximizing time, you're maximizing cost, you're maximizing manpower, product quality. I mean, all those things. So it is exciting. And no, he did not say they were spinning it out. He said this
I did
could
not
be
say.
the one.
I said it. If one day
It gets juicier and juicier all the time. So, like, where are you now in the process? Like, we on this show and many others, and in the OTC and in the trader world, we see a lot of great plans. We hear a lot of great concepts. Where are you at in this process now, and why should we be really comfortable?
So one of the things that we took a really long time to make sure we were going to do it right. So we spent a ton of money and a ton of time doing the environmental analysis, the hydrological analysis, geological, and and all of these were completed for all the properties, right? And that is also the topological or topographic. I want to keep on with the logical, but the topographic, all of these things are done. We discovered some incredible things while doing this. We discovered that we have 11 natural springs on the property. These are natural springs that never stop producing water. We discovered that we have a nesting, a crane's nesting area that there's approximately 10,000 cranes that come in to nest every night. That led us to keep a huge chunk of the property for a ecological reservoir, so we're not going to touch it. We also discovered exactly, again, how much we can build, where we can build it. We are currently going through another iteration of that, but this is how we get to the 20 acres that we have. We've also got the designs completed. We're working on infrastructure continuously. Roads, when you have 100 acres, which is what we've got, it's about approximately 102 acres. There's roads, there's reservoirs that we're building. Plan B for water if there was ever a drought and we don't have enough water, which right now, 2 years in of testing, we haven't had that, but plan B is spring water. And so we're building reservoirs to have that. There'll be some pictures, and if you follow our Twitter, you should see some stuff coming soon, but we've been doing that. The testing of the microclimates was super important for us. We wanted to make sure if we planted that we had the right place, that we didn't have the pests, that we didn't have the botrytis, which is which is you say botrytis to any cannabis producer, and that's basically a fungus that grows on the flower, and they shake, right? So we completed in these microclimates, like I said earlier, we completed test greenhouses, and we've grown 3 cycles. And we have seen nothing but success. We're very happy because we don't have pests, we don't have botrytis, everything worked. And so, and again, the temperature, the humidity, everything was on track. We did a first crop rotation that was simply a first full crop rotation in a half an acre to simply see how it behaved and understand a little bit more and start training our people. And right now we're going through our first full crop production in half an acre, and this will be sold to this will be going out to market. But we're starting to ramp up. We're starting to train. We've completed an agreement with a Colombian company to partner with them for the sale and distribution of CBD in Switzerland. And again, no forward-looking statements, but we're looking to complete an agreement like that in Australia for THC. For export of THC. And can I add a little bit about that?
No, you're not allowed.
No, I can't talk. Right.
Not allowed. I do have a follow-up though. So
okay.
You first, but then I'll follow up.
Well, so right now I want to make clear that we are focused on producing CBD. CBD, the market value is currently 10 times less than with THC, but also the security requirements that we need to meet are very low. It allows us to train and to get into this and to understand. So right now you'll hear from us, and we'll be doing CBD for the next few production rows, just to make sure we've got everything dialed in before we go into THC.
Right on. And that test product that you were talking about, it's spoken for. You already have a demand for it.
That first run it's spoken for. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I mean, the indicators look great. Where are you at in terms of, obviously you just alluded to that a little bit. where are you at with orders and looking into the future? And I'm just going to go back to somebody put a comment up here, and it was Stephanie who said, "What do you see for your company for 2025?" So, adding on to that, where are you at with the demand, with the orders? And where do you see yourself going? Because we're going towards the end of the year now. Where do you see yourself at in 2025?
All right. So it's a really good question. And I got into this and I've been in sales all my life. My growing up started in sales, and that's how I started my companies. Right. And so I worried about sales, and I stayed up at night a little bit, but the global demand is so large right now, that we have literally people waiting at the door. We've been approached by, in the last year and a half, 2 years that we've been operating down there, we've made some really good inroads with other competitors. The industry's so large, there's a lot of collaboration going on. And I've been lucky enough to participate in all of this. And so we have, as these companies, so much demand right now that we're collaborating. So we've been approached by, again, our genetic supplier that supplies our seedlings right now. They're asking us for production. We've got another company that, again, they're asking us to work with us for production. So I'm not worried at all about demand. I think it's there. It's global. It's growing. Colombian cannabis back in the 60s was the ultimate cannabis, and this is for recreational. This isn't pharmaceutical, but the thing is, that era is coming back, even though it's pharmaceutical. A lot of the pharmaceutical we're going to focus on exporting initially will be for smoking, and so we have that. Colombia is regaining that. We see a lot of support from the government to drive exports, and I thought that was going to be super important in the beginning. But the reality is the demand is just there. We have these people literally almost waiting at the door, because pharma is a little bit harder. Again, those certifications, nobody's got them. We've made a little bit of noise, and they know that we're coming. And so I couldn't be happier about that. So to finish the question, what do I see in 2025? It's build, 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 build. That's all we're doing in 2025. I think we'll be done. But as we build, we'll start production. But we have a schedule that is focused all around construction, start producing, keep growing. We've got 4 phases scheduled for the growth of the company, and it's going to be growth again, but it'll also be revenue generation, and there will be substantial revenue generated.
Okay, and I'm going to follow up. Could we get a roadmap at some point that you could share with shareholders? And do you think by the end of 2025, you will be close to achieving profitability?
I think we will be very close to achieving profitability, if not there. I absolutely. And yes, we owe you the roadmap. We're working on it.
I've been bugging him for this.
Yep.
So you guys know.
Came up last week with.
We love visuals. We love visuals, especially in penny stock land. We love it.
Yep.
You guys have. I mean, this farm is huge. It's going to be huge. The center. I shouldn't call it a farm.
And I'll tell you guys.
Talk to us about the physical properties a little bit, because it'd be great if you could send us pictures out. I mean, eventually, if you do a shareholder meeting, are you going to have people down there? That would be cool. I mean, talk about road trip.
That is a road trip
over a continent.
It is. It's close to God's country. It's beautiful country. It is like it's like the Italian countryside, believe it or not. It's high up in the mountains. It's manicured, beautiful. So the property is 100 acres. Again, there will be a tweak coming with the layout of the property. Okay. But the largest river in the region borders the property and literally creates the border. So it's on the border. There's a hill in the middle, right? And then all the sides are where the greenhouses are going to be, as well as on top of that hill. But it's 100 acres. Again, we've got those 10 acres of nature preserve. We've got the crane nesting grounds. It's not just, this is not going to be just an industrial project. We have the ability to do something beautiful. There's a traditional Colombian house at the top of the hill that will be the center of operations. Very pretty. Again, all complexes, all the companies are right next to each other. Okay. The altitude is 6,900 feet, so that's why the weather's so beautiful. And again, the temperature is perfect. So it's a really nice property. Every time I go out there, we are about to install Starlink out there. There's no internet yet, but as soon as we do, one of the things I was thinking of is at some point do a podcast and show what the property looks like.
We should do a virtual tour of it. You know, because it's not like it's the stone throw away being in Colombia and all, but it would be great to get a virtual tour, have you down there live, and just get pictures, videos, all kinds of good stuff. And anybody that's watching my show knows that we'll bring it to you. If you give it to us, we'll bring it to the masses. So that's
can I waste a little time? I'll tell a little story about the first time I was on the property.
Yeah, go for it.
So there's no internet, there's no cell phone service. And we're driving in an SUV, and I told you there's 11 springs on the property. Well, the SUV found one of them, and it was running under one of the roads, and the SUV sank. And we ended up stuck for 5 hours. Somebody had to walk to cell phone service so people could come and help us out, and we all ended up digging up.
No way.
At that moment, I knew this was going to be a big project.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, so, and I'm going to get to the questions in a second, guys, because there's a couple great questions here. But if you could give us 4 or 5 good reasons why MedCana is going to be a great holding company, why you guys are going to be successful, and why shareholders who are new to you guys, new to this whole thing, you guys being more vocal, why are you guys going to be successful? Why should people be really enthralled and excited to invest?
So again, the first one, why I'm in this thing to start with. We are in an industry that the U.S. didn't see it, but Colombia did. There was a tremendous amount of investment. Everybody went in, and so many of them failed. That creates opportunity. So we've got that opportunity right now, that wave. That first wave is out. The speculators, the guys that founded the companies and sold them and got out, made all their money. The ones that operated failed at it because they didn't have the experience regulation. So that's there right now. Again, that's super important. The weather is number 2. You can't beat that weather. The cost of not having to cool and heat is phenomenal. The labor, okay. The methods that we've also implemented and the techniques that we'll be using. I didn't talk too much about that, but our chief agriculture engineer actually studied in Switzerland and has been growing and has been heading up some of the largest companies, the production when they started. And he's learned from these mistakes. So we have a tremendous amount of experience in growing as well. So, and again, last of all, the setting up for the long term, if you want to look at the long term, is setting up for when the U.S. opens up. We will be we'll be hitting singles and doubles all day long, but the home run, and we'll get a lot of runs with that. A lot. I'm not saying we're gonna, but if we're ready, well, not if, but when we're ready, and when the market opens up, that's going to be phenomenal. So we're getting ready for that.
Excellent. And just so you know, and I took a lot of notes here. And sometimes, you know, we have these interviews, and I do the notes, and sometimes I look back like a day later, like, all right, let's follow up. And like, what was I trying to say here? What was I trying to write? You ever do that? But this page is loaded with notes. I mean, you've given a lot of information, man, I'm telling you, and it's exciting. And we have some great questions, and let's try to just bang through these quickly, give them direct answers. Let's get right to it. John Bacon. Will this company be taxed as a U.S.-based company, as U.S.-based companies are?
John Bacon, the lion, he knows what I'm talking about. John, the company, the holding company will be taxed as a U.S.-based company. Absolutely. The intent, obviously, is right now investment will be flowing down to our companies in Colombia, and it will start flowing back once revenues are coming in, and that revenue will be taxed in Colombia first, and then in the U.S. second, according to your GAAP accounting practices.
Okay, got it. Well, I'm gonna follow up with you at some point on that. Jazz in LA, what's up, bro? How does MedCana use the proprietary software to track seeds to product? And can that software be licensed to other companies to generate revenues for SFWJ?
So there's a lot to cover, and I apologize for not talking too much about token, but yes, that the software is meant to be able to do that, to be able to make sure that we're compliant and to make sure we comply with the certifications, and it makes it a lot easier when you have that software. So we have that framework, and we will start right now because of demand, because of everything where we're at. We will be building this as we build the company up in the next months, to 12 months to 24 months. But that's exactly the plan. We're going to use it. We're going to clean it up. We'll work the bugs out, and then we plan to license it to other companies. There's nothing like it on the market. I saw that early on. I do have some experience in software development. And again, the intent is to get this framework and clean it up and make sure it's perfect for what we're doing. So, for example, one of the things that you should be able to see is when you buy your pharma grade, well, the pharmaceutical company will be able to have whether it's a barcode or one of those little scan codes, and you'll be able to see when, where, which company, what dates, what lot, the whole thing. So that's the plan, and it's not a very hard challenge, but that's what we will do.
Right on. Bella says, what elevation is the greenhouse?
So 6,900 square feet is the average elevation of the property. So that's why the weather is so stable, and that's why the highs and the lows are so well. That's because of the equator, of course, but that's why we have those temperatures all year long.
Right on. Jess, another question. With the pharma grade CBD oil you are producing, how is it being sold? Wholesale, distributor network, direct?
Okay, really good question, because
he's full of good questions, that guy.
Yes, you are. Yeah. So demand, okay. We were planning on starting the production of the extraction facility at the same time as the growth. Okay, so MedCana also has the lab side, right? And the lab lies in Royal Cannabis, which is one of the companies. But what we're seeing in the global market, the amount of demand for the buds and pharma, we want to capitalize on that to make sure we get the profitability sooner. So right now, the plan will be the production facility, the extraction facility will not start until maybe the end of 25. Okay. We want to use these funds, the funds that we're going to use for extraction, which is a lab that is globally certified, that we've got ready to go, but we'd rather use those funds to build greenhouses because we know we can get there. We know we're there already, versus the extraction facility takes about 1.5 years to get certified and up and running. So we will be doing the extracts at some point, but right now the focus is going to be just the buds that we'll be exporting.
Right on. Are all greenhouses built out? How long till they become profitable as a company? But you did talk about that earlier. He did talk about that. We were looking towards the end of 2025 is what he thinks they could possibly be profitable. But talk about, are all the greenhouses built out?
Yep. So no. Right now we've got 1/2 acre. That's where we're doing the small production run, and we're starting to build everything else. And it's run.
Okay. Cash has a question. Will the growth be from funds used through dilution? So a lot of people are worried that you're going to issue a ton of shares to raise a bunch of capital, further increasing the share structure and diluting the stock into oblivion. That happens often. But do you plan on keeping the share structure as you have it now?
Yes, we do have a Reg A open, and we will go through another Reg A most likely, but no, besides that, we don't plan to do any major dilution.
Okay, so you're sticking to Reg A.
One of the things I said in the beginning, guys, is I'm an operator. And one of the things I didn't say is I'm a bootstrapper. And so I believe we've got the plan to get this thing built out with exactly the money that we need to get it going, and enough cushion to make sure we're there. But no, we want to maximize shareholder value and get to profitability as fast as possible.
Right on. And the mad scientist has another question. And this is a great question. Can they develop villas on the property for vacation rentals?
I'm
That's a
not
great
kidding.
idea.
But this is something that every time I go down there, it's 100 acres. Okay, this place is human. We've got 80 acres left. So yes, we've talked about that, and we've talked about a holistic retreat. Again, this is pharma, but the place is beautiful. At one point, it'll be recreational when the markets in the US open. So we've certainly talked about that, and yes, I'm not going to say we're going to do it, but at some
You look
point,
excited.
I get excited about it because it's true. That's a really good question, and we've thought about it, and we might put it into the plans. But right now, again, it's getting to production. These things to me are the icing on the cake. We need to get baking, okay, and then I'll get the icing on the cake. But it's definitely something we've thought about, and we've got the land. We just lease the land. We build the villas. We get a spa in there. We just make sure it's managed properly. That's a good question. It's beautiful out there.
All right. Okay. So before you lay it out, let me head it out. Okay. Well, it's true because I think that, if you have cannabis diehards, if you have a nice, beautiful area with the centers, with the greenhouses, you get the villas, you could do tours.
Yep.
I saw your face light up, when you were talking about that. And
Yeah.
so, that there is a major opportunity there. Sorry, I'm just like responding to some questions in the audience, but that's good. It's good to know that there's all these avenues for revenue.
Yeah.
Bella has a follow-up question. Please explain the security issues in the area and what you are doing to make sure the site is secure.
Bella is going to be hired on as the best question maker. But Bella, that's a really good question. We're in a very safe area of Colombia. We have a very good relationship with the mayor of the local town. We have a very good relationship with the police department. We have a military, small military outpost that's about, I think it's a mile away. We are on a radio frequency where we can call them if anything happens. But nothing happens. Okay. However, we will still have full perimeter. It's barbed wire fence. It's closed off. There will be secure. There are security guards right now. There are lights. There are sirens. So all the security protocols will be there. But the reality is we don't feel we're going to need them. And if you get, okay, and I'll get a little bit deeper even, there's 2 entrances and 2 exits to the farm only. And once we go full production, if we want to increase our security measures and we want to be proactive, we have a plan in place to have checkpoints at both sides or way out. So we're prepared for the worst, but we're very comfortable that we're in a very, very secure area.
Right on. That's excellent. All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been a very, very awesome first show for you, and I hope to have you back on soon. And guys, if you're in the Discord, he's already presented one time, and we're gonna have you back in the next couple weeks just to give us an update on how things are going, and just keep us in the loop on things. I thank you for joining the Discord and just being a part of the community and just being ready to answer questions that are being asked of you, in regards to the company. And, we really appreciate that. You're welcome on the show anytime. I can't wait to have another update because, I can tell you're very excited about this.
Eric, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. To me, it's very important to communicate to the shareholders. This is a public company. I work for the shareholders. I want to make sure that you get as much information because we've been growing and we've been focused internally. We haven't had a lot of that, but thank you for giving me this vehicle, and I hope to be with you in the future. I hope to give you a lot of updates.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do one in another month, and so we'll be ready for it. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Have a great one.
All right, let's get this guy out of here. Let's get him. Well, that was a pleasant experience. It was great. His maiden voyage was pretty well, and I thought he did a great job answering questions. Listen, email me questions for this guy. Email, because he's accessible. All right, reach out to the company. Email him. Do your own due diligence. And like I said, I'm very excited for SFWJ. So I know we'll convene in the Discord this week and talk more about that one. So that's exciting. So let me take a look at the chat right here before we get into the little updates. Let's see how we do. What's up, Jordan? You know what we should do? We should give a shout out. Let's give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to the gentleman that we had wings and beer yesterday. Yes, Wayward, Arlex, and Jord Haga and the photo bomber. It was great, and we actually had a really good time. And somehow, I don't know how, but after wings, we had delicious wings. We ended up at a very really nice beer store, and so that's what ended up happening 6 hours after our lovely wing fest. And let me tell you, it was awesome. These are great guys, great traders, great friends. Yesterday was absolutely awesome, and I'm just glad that we could connect, and we've known each other for years now. And so, cheers to you guys. I hope you have a great day. Jordan, have a safe flight back. And let's get into this. Let's get into the nitty gritty of some of the stocks that we've been covering. This is just a quick rundown. And so, and Gabe, I know you're backstage. I want you to stay backstage so we could talk after the show. But let's do a little update as to just some of the stocks that we've been covering. One I'm extreme. Oh, yes. AHRO. Now, listen, they had a big news here. And so Maybach's Global Entertainment, a subsidiary of Authentic Holdings, and Zeason Technology Private Limited have signed a license and partnership agreement that gives Maybach's a massive footprint to its iDream TV smart TV app to Zeason's 108 million users worldwide. This is huge. Whale Ads will integrate our app with the global top 5 CTV advertising partner network, which includes Roku at 48% of the market, Amazon Fire TV at 28% of the market, Apple TV at 8.5%, and Google Chromecast, and Android TV making up the remainder. So that's big news. These guys aren't stopping. And you know what? He's vocal on Twitter. This is a guy. If you have a question for AHRO, email him. He will get back to you. He's accessible. He's transparent. I love it. So he's talking about now marketing, and this was these are all from the 9th. He posted marketing 3 networks instead of just Comfy TV. The media buyers now added iCowboy and Movie Giant. Based on the orders we are seeing for the first 2 weeks of this ad period, we are extremely optimistic that Maybach's could be profitable in the 4th quarter of this year. That's freaking huge. Another one. Let's see. Oh, that was a double. All right. Question posted via phone call inquiry. Yes, we are going to be involved in AI through upcoming JV for music applications. It's natural for us since we also have an exclusive license on 17,000 master songs. We'll be working with a leader in the AI music field and distribute a press release soon. So I anticipate we get a press release this week. Just saying, that's what I think we're gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen because I like his consistency. He's been very consistent. And I said, hey, I hope he's not one of those guys that's just going to tweet randomly and argue with people all the time. It seems like when he's tweeting, he's giving us information on the company. And so we like that update. We like the updates. Keep them coming. AHRO, and in answer to the question, yes, as mentioned, we will also be releasing 2 new exciting networks with over 2 million subscribers and proven revenue by the end of next week, which is this week, which we will have a rev share program with. That is this week. So news. We're expecting news. One of those partnerships should be announced this week. They're laying the groundwork for a huge Q4. Another partnership soon be announced. And I mentioned that, okay? It's a multi-billion-dollar company that they're working a partnership with, all right? And they have a second they're negotiating contracts with as well. So, 0012, I'll take it. So the Authentic Heroes portion of the company too, which we're going to have to learn more about this because this is a whole nother division that they have going on. I thought it was really cool that they could take these worn jerseys or shirts from cons or whatever, and they could, and I know this isn't the videos thing. He's like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I like the concept of being able to take a jersey from a famous football player or a baseball player. Say it was a really important game, and they auction off that jersey, they sell that jersey, and then they could distribute those fibers that were used into other jerseys and shirts. And so I think that's a way to distribute one of a kind material. So I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. I think it's pretty cool. Let's look at the chart. I'll tell you what I think. I think this thing had some nice upward movement before it went EM. Everybody told me, well, it's game over. It's EM. And it was a long, hard road out of hell, but they achieved it nonetheless. So it was banging down here at 0004, and now we're starting to consolidate nicely in the round, and it spikes back hard, especially at dub 1. But I like this one. I think the more communication we have, the more news we're going to see. This, I'm calling this to definitely see some really strong movement. Do I think we could hit a penny or two? Do I think this one goes to copper? I do. My opinion, not financial advice. This is my financial choice, but I'm all in on this one. I'm excited about it. I have 4 million shares of it. Let me know. Are you invested in AHRO, and do you like the company's communication thus far? All right, let's keep it moving. IGPK. All right. I know somebody wanted me to cover this one. Well, let's do it. All right. Junfeng Wang, Group CEO, to talk live to shareholders on popular YouTube show. I'm flattered. What can I say? But yes, we have scheduled another interview. We will have an interpreter. It's going to be nice. I have a lot of follow-up questions. And so it's scheduled for Sunday, August 18th at 8 p.m. We're going prime time. And so let's get here. Ask your questions. Actually, you know what? Ask him. Send them to me. If you have questions for Dejun Wang, please email at buffalofiresidechats@gmail.com, buffalofiresidechats@gmail.com. And that way I could get them to the interpreter. So that is the most concise way to do it. That's the most clear way to do it. Efficient way to do it is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, that's exciting. And so look, they were ahead of schedule with their revenues, with their filings. And look, the revenues are consistent. Now, some people were asking, well, why the hell aren't there more businesses in there? More divisions are supposed to be rolling in. I'm going to ask those questions. Don't worry. I'm gonna take care of it. But nonetheless, look at the revenues. Not bad. Yes, the gross profit isn't as strong as you'd want it, but I call it sort of like the DRCR factor. Like, yes, their profit isn't super high, but the revenues are, I think these guys are in a really, really good spot. Yeah, very good spot. And so when you're talking about achieving $100 million in revenue for an OTC trading at dub 4, yeah, I think one division that gets rolled in addition to this is going to be huge. Going to be huge. I'm going to look at your comments in a second. I'm just going to keep going right through this, and the comments are blowing up. I want that. I like seeing that. Keep putting your comments there. Even if you're insulting me, that's okay. Here he goes on IGPK again. No, I love the stock. I think it's great. We covered at 777. And now that we had this massive company that has rolled in, and you could see it in the numbers, now we have to ask questions about the process. We really do. When are the divisions coming in? What are their roles? There's so many questions that we have. I'm excited about it. So you guys should be too. The chart, looking at the chart, listen, we remember this whole thing when it was that was that Tuesday. We remember that Tuesday. Yeah, we won't talk about that, but it recovered nicely. There were many opportunities to make money in the stock. All right. So for as long as we've been covering, I shouldn't hear anybody in my community bag because we got in super early and we started covering it early. But right now, we've trailed off. A lot of the excitement was gone. You got to understand, the filing isn't the big catalyst in the OTC. News is, anticipation is. And so I see a consolidation here. I hope this doesn't continue on downward, but I think that we're pretty safe now. Now we need to see continued communication with the company. I think the interview could help just so that we could gauge on how things are going to progress towards the end of the year and into 2025, especially in regards to those other divisions. And so right now it's about like, where do you want to invest? This is your choice. So make sure you invest wisely and only invest what you can afford to lose. But, this is I think it's going to consolidate down here, and we'll see where it goes. Right now, they're putting up major revenues, and if they put those other divisions in there, look out, because we're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, $1 billion company, e-commerce company. So we'll see where it goes, folks. All right, let's keep moving. MEIL, I've covered this one briefly. This is one that was dormant for like years. The account was dormant, and now they're back being active again. And so you can look at some of the tweets. The tweet that broke the silence to our past, present, and future shareholders. We're pleased to announce a relaunching of our X account. We'll be increasing shareholder engagement, posting updates, and communicating regularly. Our management team has a lot to share and is eager to hit the ground running. All right. Day after, they announced that they amended their filing and they got pink current easily. That was great to see. And on August 1st, we have several important meetings in the coming days. We will keep you informed as we navigate and solidify plans and partnerships. This is an exciting time for our shareholders and our entire team. Let's take a look at the PR that I think is really key to this. Okay, B2 BioOil is government approved and assigned NSNs. All right, this is big, and I think this is the route that they're going to go. And if they get government contracts, look out. All right, it's very exciting. So Methys Energies International is pleased to confirm that their 5W20 and 5W30 biodegradable and bio-based motors, branded as B2 BioOil, successfully completed 4 years of rigorous military and governmental department testing, whereby securing the approval of government military procurement and the assignment of national system numbers, or NSNs. All right, and looking down below, laws such as the Farm Security and Rural Investment Act of 2002, which stresses the need for government to procure. So they're going to take advantage of what is pretty much inevitable here, is getting to these bio-based oils and these fuels. So that's exciting for me. So you know what? They obviously want to be more vocal. They have a lot in the works, apparently. This is when you invest. And let me tell you, when he does go on and talk about the Department of Defense uses about 1.1 million gallons of 5W20 and 5W30 engine oil annually in roughly 200,000 vehicles. The entire federal government, including the military services, civilian agencies, and U.S. Postal Service, maintains a total of 630,000 vehicles. So that's important. So if they could tap into that market, that's going to be huge. All right, let's look and just listen. This is all for fun. There's nothing holding the stock down. I've been messing around with it. I've been buying. A couple people I know have been just slapping, and this thing moves like nothing. It's not like, I'm not going to name any other tickers when discussing this one, but sometimes you say, oh yeah, this moves on nothing, this is great, and then out of nowhere, a bunch of convertible notes happen, and people just start dumping their stock all over the volume. That's not going to happen here. That's my prediction, not financial advice. I got to say that. But this thing moves like nothing. There's nothing holding it back. There aren't people dumping on it. I've talked to management, because I said, I'm excited to see what you guys are doing. I'm waiting to hear back, because I would like to get, actually, Jeff Locke was actually in the Discord. He did a Q&A for us. It was great. We like what he's doing. I want more details. I want to get him on the show so we could ask the hard questions here on the full platform. But, this stock moves like nothing. I think that this could be huge, especially if they have solid news and are ready to open up lines of communication. I think this stock is going to go kablooey, especially if they bring people on board that are experienced in the oil sector, and if they're able to really tap the government contracts and utilize those NSNs. All right. So that's what I think of there. And yeah, look at this. This thing just pops up. It's sort of fun. All right. And LUDG. Let's see. $20 million market cap, held at DTC, 33.2 million shares, US reporting, SEC, and audited. All right, so they're good to go. Their last tweet in PR, March 27th, Ludwig Enterprises very pleased to release news that our subsidiary Exusia AI is funding a preclinical study on glioblastoma, an incurable brain cancer. We are embarking on a revolutionary new development in medicine, AI, OTC. That's exciting. Let's look at the PR. So when I butcher these words, just know I'm not a med dude. I just love going through these medical articles. And by the way, I'm working to have the team on the show at some point in the next month. It would be great because I have a lot of questions. So Ludwig Enterprises, a U.S.-based biotechnology company, is pleased to announce that its subsidiary Exusia, I think that's how you say that, Exusia AI, is funding a preclinical study on glioblastoma, GBM, an incurable brain cancer. The study is being done in the lab of Dr. Sugaya, PhD, head of neuroscience, Burnett School of Biomedical Services or Sciences, University of Central Florida, Orlando, Florida. Dr. Sugaya and his research team are developing a more effective way to treat GBM, an aggressive, incurable form of brain cancer. And it goes on to talk about how many famous people that we know have died from this. Beau Biden, John McCain, Ted Kennedy. So, this is something that they're working on that if they make some developments in it, this could really help a lot of people. Let's look at why. This is why. So, and it talks right here about how, like, after diagnosis, a lot of people only get 12 to 14 months to live after that. Horrible, horrible thing. New research led by Dr. Sugaya, a stem cell researcher and neuroscientist, found that targeting a drug-resistant mechanism in cancer stem cells significantly enhanced the efficacy of traditional cancer therapies, making them 4 times more effective against GBM. Current FDA-approved drugs kill less than 25% of glioblastoma cancer stem cells. The study sponsored by Exosia, I'm going to get that right eventually, AI, will employ this unique strategy and potentially increase the efficacy of Merck's FDA-approved drug, temozolomide, in the treatment of GBM by 400%. So they're basically talking about a treatment that will literally improve the medicine that's already there. And so it's exciting. Now, if you look at the chart, this thing is in a buy zone, in my opinion. Just saying. All right. Let's zoom out and look at the 3-year. Look at this. It's just swooping up, swooping up, swooping up. If you're just swinging this, if you're just, if you got anything hit back here in 2022 and just ride it up, whatever it does. But like you said, like I'm saying, this is a low float stock too. So, guess what? I think this thing's going to just pop right now in the 10 to 20 cent range, 30 cent range. Like, this is in the buy zone. And if they're going to get their products out, and they have the screening thing too, which is unbelievable. So if they have that going on and they roll out their products, this could be absolutely huge, especially revenue wise. So the CEO, he's accredited. The guy is smart. Obviously, his resume is stacked. And I did show a video of him before, but I'm hoping to be able to talk to him, ask him a lot of the questions that I have no answers to, because I'm not like I said, when we get into this medical stuff, it's foreign to me. But plain English, I like what they're setting out to do here, and I like where the stock is. I like where the chart is, and I could see this one go kablooey, just like a couple of the others I mentioned. You want to buy them low and buy them when they're beaten up. And right now, wait if this stock gets volume in it. Let's see what happens. Ooh, let's see what happens. It was down here. It was a penny stock, and this thing's just churning away. It's waiting. It's waiting to be loved. Will we love it? We'll find out, right? So let's get to the chat. So there's a lot of background noise. The kids are being really loud today, so it's hard to focus. It's hard to focus today. But yeah, no. Let's take a look at the chats. Yes, and I agree with you, John Don. I like the fact that we're not being ghosted by the CEO. Yeah, that's always nice when that's the case. Jess in LA, loading AHRO, loading. I'm with you there. It's great stuff. I'm over 4 million shares, and I think they're going to do great things. And so he followed up with that. As their footprint markets increases, so does their rate card, and the media buying groups are knocking on the door. And that's the truth. He's demonstrated it. Oh man, short. He was loaded yesterday. Great beer shop next to Wings. It was, dude. We had a phenomenal time. And honestly, eventually this has to be a semi-annual event that we do, because Bar Bill's wings were great. And he did the suicidal. I that was funny. He did the suicidal sauce on the side, and yeah, there were like 5 minutes, and Jord is he's an intellect. He's a smart guy. He likes to talk. He has a boisterous personality. But I will say, I've never heard him that quiet for 5 minutes, which is like a record, bro. But I love you, man. No, this was good stuff. It was great hanging out with the guys yesterday. And Michael Singleton, he loved that comment from you. All right. Yes, the dragon is rising. Yes. Oh. Ophelia loaded last night. Great times. No one got naked, but still a great time. Hey, that's all right. Okay, BFC, please contact Nick Link and ask him why he's gone delinquent and goes to CGRA. I actually did reach out to him regarding CGRA. And so he said to sit tight and that we will get news at some point and things are going to look good. So I don't know. He can't give me any information other than what they're working on. And, hey, ask the crew yesterday. I was wearing my Savage Barbell shirt. I was excited. I got the Savage Barbell CGRA product and I busted that thing out yesterday, and it was fun. So yeah, I'm with you. I want to hear what's going on with CGRA as well. All right, let's keep looking here. Oh, Jordan Hugga. See, you're already on it. Nick Link has not abandoned CGRA. All right, but I'm not going to get into all the tit for tat. I see I'm catching up here. It was getting juicy when I was going over the stocks. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I do think that this is where they're at, and their hands are full with QIND. I think we're going to get the notification by the end of this week on QIND, and or early next week. I think they have like 4 days to report it. So that's just me. And let me tell you guys, and let me tell you right now, if QIND uplists, if they agreed upon a great valuation, and people are making a crap ton of money on this with this uplist, what do you think is next? SAML. I'm just going to say that. That's it. So, yes, the suicide sauce was very hot. And he did. I love the shirt too. I might buy another one. I actually like the product a lot. CGRA Gold Mine. Paul McKinney. Man, I'll tell you, it was a. Any thoughts on GRPS or LTNC? I think LTNC is doing a great job. I think the management, I think Tom Zarro is a beast. I think he's a great guy. I hope they have him on the show to do a Q&A again with him. I want to give a shout out to the LTNC community. You guys are awesome. I like the product. I tried the product out. But I will say they have solidarity for the most part in their community. It's really impressive. So I don't know. That's just me. I'm very impressed with if they get that acquisition that they talked about with the 30 million in revs last year, he's doing the right thing. These things don't happen overnight. There is so much back work that goes into this. So much back work that as traders sometimes you don't see it. And I know that for a fact that it's not easy. And a lot of these people, a lot of these companies, guess what? They do set out to do the right thing. They do set out, but there's always bumps in the road. You got to deal with FINRA. You got to deal with the SEC filings. You got to deal with auditors. That's it. GRPS, I'm waiting to hear from Adam Thomas. He will definitely be on the show at some point in the next couple weeks just to give us an update. And Adam, if you're watching this show, he's a good dude, Buffalo guy. I'll reach out to him and see if he's ready for an update. And I hope they have a great product down there. If there's one company, again, that I'd like to see succeed, it's a huge shrimp farm in Texas where I'd love to buy their product. So, it's exciting. So, cash holding 20 million CGRA. Reason for my constant concern. That's a lot of CGRA. That is a ton of CGRA. And lastly, when GRPS scales up, they will own more land and raise more shrimp. Like Adam's background in finance, family business, top-notch genetics. Yeah, I do have faith that he's going to get it done. I hope that he knocks the thing out of the park. I truly do. But, here we are. That's where we're at. So, it was a great day. Great show. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn, but we had a really, really good guest today. Excellent guest. And shout out to everybody in the BFC community, everyone that, likes a tweet or post, I should gotta say. I'm still gonna call it a tweet, retweets my stuff, everybody that shares, the content, and everybody in the Discord, the people who have supported the BFC. Let me tell you, I truly appreciate it. If you would have told me 2 years ago we'd be here doing this weekly, interviewing CEOs and growing our community and having chicken wings regularly with traders from all across the United States, I'd have said, get the hell out of here. But you know what? That's what we're doing. We're having a good time. We're building a great community. And I want to thank each and every one of you, even the ones that give me a hard time sometimes. All you bulls and bears. Seriously, this has been a great show. Special thanks to all you guys. Special thanks to Gabriel Diaz of MedCana for joining me for a great interview. Looking forward to having him back on. And tune in next week, Sunday, 8 p.m. We're going to go live with IGPK Dejun Wong, and it's going to be spectacular, right? And remember, guys, there is more that binds us than breaks us. Peace out, guys.